In January 2026, the price of silver surged past $92 per troy ounce, an all-time nominal high, confirmed by the LBMA and CME Group. This wasn't a speculative spike. It was the culmination of three converging forces: a structural deficit in physical supply, explosive demand from clean energy sectors, and unprecedented central bank accumulation. For the first time in history, the long-theorized $100 per ounce threshold is no longer a distant warning. It's a matter of weeks or months. And as silver hovers near triple digits, high-tech manufacturers face an urgent question. Can they keep producing solar panels, electric vehicles, and advanced semiconductors when their most critical industrial metal costs nearly 4 times more than it did in 2023? Unlike gold, silver isn't just a store of value. It's embedded in the physical infrastructure of the modern economy. And unlike copper or aluminum, it cannot be easily substituted without sacrificing performance, efficiency, or reliability. By the end of this video, you'll understand the precise cost structures of key industries, the break-even points at which silver becomes economically unviable, and why the approach to $100 isn't just a market event. It's a potential inflection point for the entire clean energy transition. To grasp the stakes, we must first understand how deeply silver is woven into modern technology. In photovoltaic cells, silver paste forms the ultra-thin conductive grid lines that collect electrons generated by sunlight. These lines must be just 15 to 30 microns wide, yet maintain near-perfect conductivity to maximize panel efficiency. No other metal matches silver's combination of electrical conductivity, 63x10s/m, adhesion to silicon, and low-temperature sintering capability. Copper oxidizes rapidly in air, requiring costly encapsulation. Aluminum lacks the necessary conductivity. Gold is prohibitively expensive. As a result, over 95% of the world's 400 gigawatts of annual solar capacity still relies on silver-based metallization. The industry has reduced usage through multi-busbar and copper plating technologies, down to 10 to 12 milligrams per watt, but even the most advanced designs cannot eliminate it entirely. At current deployment rates, global solar manufacturing consumes approximately 120 million ounces of silver per year, according to the International Energy Agency, IEA. With silver now at $92, material costs have already risen by 280% since 2023. If prices hit $100, the silver component alone could add $90 to $130 to the cost of a standard 400W panel, pushing total module prices above 40 cents per watt in many markets, eroding competitiveness against natural gas and delaying grid parity in emerging economies. Electric vehicles present an equally acute challenge. Every EV contains between 25 and 50 grams of silver, more than any other industrial product per unit. It's used in power inverters, battery management systems, DC-DC converters, and fast-charging connectors, where high current flow and thermal stability are non-negotiable. A Tesla Model Y, for example, uses approximately 38 grams. A BYD Seal, 35 grams. Multiply that by the 14.2 million battery electric vehicles produced globally in 2025, BloombergNEF, and you get over 18 million ounces of annual silver demand, a figure projected to exceed 55 million ounces by 2030 as EV production scales to 45 million units per year. At $92 per oz, silver adds roughly $110 to $150 to the bill of materials per vehicle. At $100, that jumps to $120 to $165. For automakers operating on 15 to 20% gross margins, this is not trivial. While some components can be redesigned, such as using silver-coated copper instead of pure silver, the core power electronics cannot. Infineon's IGBT modules, used in over 70% of EVs, require silver sintering for thermal performance under high load. Substituting alternatives would reduce efficiency by 8 to 12%, increase heat generation, and shorten battery life. Unacceptable trade-offs in a market defined by range anxiety and performance benchmarks. Semiconductors represent another critical front. As chips shrink below 3 nanometers and power densities exceed 100 watts per square centimeter, thermal management becomes paramount. Silver is used in thermal interface materials, LED frames, and advanced 2.5D/3D packaging for AI accelerators, 5G base stations, and data center GPUs. According to technical disclosures from TSMC and Intel, silver-based thermal pastes outperform copper alternatives by 15 to 20% in heat dissipation, a difference that prevents throttling in high-performance computing. While the amount per chip is measured in micrograms, the scale is immense. TSMC alone produces over 12 million 12-inch wafers annually. Even at 0.4 grams of silver per wafer, that's 153,000 ounces per year. At $100 per oz, that's $15.3 million in added annual costs, manageable for a giant, but potentially catastrophic for smaller foundries or fabless designers with tighter margins. More critically, sudden price spikes disrupt just-in-time supply chains. A single week of silver unavailability could halt production lines worth billions in output. Now consider the economic reality from the manufacturer's perspective. Most high-tech firms operate with minimal pricing power. Solar panel makers average 8 to 12% gross margins. Automakers run 15 to 20%. Even semiconductor foundries, while more profitable, reinvest 60 to 70% of revenue into R&D and capital expenditures. None can absorb a 300% input cost increase without consequences. According to a January 2026 update from Wood Mackenzie, a $100 silver price would raise solar module costs by 25 to 30%, pushing levelized costs of electricity, LCOE, above 6 cents per kilowatt hour in sun-rich regions, erasing the advantage over gas in markets like India and Brazil. Similarly, McKinsey estimates that a sustained $100 silver price would force automakers to raise EV prices by $1,500 to $2,800, potentially reducing demand elasticity in price-sensitive segments like compact SUVs and sedans. But the greater risk isn't just price, it's volatility and availability. Unlike oil or wheat, there is no strategic reserve of silver to stabilize markets. COMEX registered inventories stand at just 26 million ounces as of January 2026, the lowest since 2018 and equivalent to less than 3 months of industrial demand. Meanwhile, China, refining 30% of global supply, has implemented enhanced review procedures for silver exports, creating delivery bottlenecks for Western manufacturers. In Q4 2025, European solar producers reported 22-day delays in silver paste deliveries due to Chinese administrative holds. In such a tight market, perception drives reality. A single mine strike in Mexico, which produces 25% of global mine supply, or a logistical disruption in Chile could trigger a short squeeze, pushing prices past $100 overnight. What is the actual break-even threshold? Industry stress tests suggest solar production remains viable up to $95 per oz with current metallization tech. Beyond that, only government-subsidized or premium projects proceed. EVs. Automakers can absorb up to $85 per oz through design optimization. Above $95, consumer pricing must rise significantly or volumes fall. Electronics. High-end devices, servers, smartphones, can pass on costs up to $100 per oz. Mass-market goods, routers, appliances, become unprofitable above $80/ounce, yet these thresholds assume no substitution. The real response won't be shut down. It will be accelerated innovation under duress. First Solar is scaling copper-plated cells that use 90% less silver. Tesla and CATL are testing silver-free solid-state inverters. Samsung and Intel are investing in graphene-based thermal interfaces. But these transitions take 5 to 8 years and require billions in capex. In the interim, the risk of production slowdowns is real. Moreover, the path to $100 is already unfolding. 3 forces are locked in place: supply stagnation. Mine production peaked at 880 million ounces in 2024, USGS, and is now declining due to water shortages in Peru and Mexico, plus permitting delays in new projects. Demand explosion. Clean energy mandates will triple silver demand by 2035, IEA. AI and 5G add 15 million ounces annually by 2027. Monetary absorption. Central banks purchased 65 million ounces in 2025, a record, diverting metal from industrial channels. If all three intensify, as they are now, the $100 level isn't speculative. It's inevitable. For ordinary people, the impact will be felt in higher prices for rooftop solar, EVs, smartphones, and even medical devices, which use silver for antimicrobial coatings. Energy transition timelines could slip by 3 to 5 years. Innovation might slow as engineers focus on cost-cutting rather than breakthroughs. This isn't fear-mongering, it's stress testing. The goal isn't to predict collapse, but to expose fragility. Because in a world racing toward electrification and digitization, silver isn't just a commodity. It's a bottleneck with a price tag, and that price tag is now flashing $92 and rising. If you want clear, fact-based analysis of how commodity markets shape technology, energy, and your daily life, without hype or speculation, subscribe to US Silver Market. We track the real economics behind the headlines, because understanding scarcity is the first step to securing your future.